Today I'm going to teach you how to make fried rice. Fried rice has infinite styles, ingredients, and cooking methods. I'm going to be teaching you a general theory behind cooking this dish, instead of a specific recipe. So feel free to substitute whatever you've got laying around. We'll be using 2 proteins and 3 veggies. For most people, this is a really great leftover recipe. And most of the things that I'm using are actually leftovers from last night. Earlier in the day, I made this pot of rice in my pressure cooker. Some people swear by their rice cookers, but pressure cookers are more versatile, a whole lot faster, and I definitely recommend having one of these. After cooking it, I released the steam, mixed it to fluff it up, and then let it sit for a few hours. When I came back, it was ready to go. Before we really get into it, I need to explain the Maillard reaction to you. The Maillard reaction is a chemical reaction that happens in the presence of heat. The sugars react with the amino acids to create a complicated mix of compounds that give browned food its distinctive aroma and flavor. Different compounds are made based on the temperature, time, and chemical makeup of the food that's cooked. So each ingredient needs a different time and a different temperature for peak flavor. Now that we've got that out of the way, here's the biggest problem we're dealing with in this kitchen. Electric stovetops are maddening to control temperature on. You'd think that they'd make these able to hold a steady temperature, but that's not the case. I've learned to adjust the temperature as I go, and this is more of an art than a science, so you don't have to try this at home. If you've got a gas stove, you'll have an easier time cooking each of these ingredients exactly how you want. And that leads us to our biggest tip for fried rice. Cook each ingredient separately. Then you combine them at the end. Fried rice is a delicate balancing act, combining different textures and flavors. Each ingredient should be cooked at a different temperature and for a different amount of time. Here's how I cook mine. For the onions, I'm going for a medium-high heat for 2 to 3 minutes. Season with salt and pepper. Keep these things moving so they caramelize evenly. And if you're into it, you can pump up the heat at the end for a little bit of char. I like my carrots to have a good amount of crunch, so we'll be cooking these on high heat for about 2 minutes to get just a tiny bit of char on some of the pieces. For this entire recipe, I'll only be seasoning with salt and pepper, but feel free to go wild with however you want to season each ingredient. But you have to keep in mind that everything's getting mixed together, so don't create bad flavor combinations. These get the same treatment as the carrots. Nothing fancy. Remember to season these too. We've been having leftover ham for the past few days now, and this is the last of it. It's pre-cooked, so we're basically just warming these up and giving them a little color on each side. And if your pan gets a little dirty, you're going to want to wash it out. Each ingredient is going to need a clean pan so you're not transferring off flavors. This ingredient is highly versatile and highly underrated. A good fried egg can make or break your fried rice. you undercook it, the eggs can be pretty soupy, and that's kinda gross. If you overcook it, they can take on a papery or leathery texture that makes me want to throw most restaurant fried rice right in the trash. Cooking these, especially on high heat, should only take a minute or two. This should be the last thing you cook. It's gonna take the most time, and it's the easiest to screw up. Fried rice shouldn't be a misnomer. You should actually get some color on your rice. We're actually trying to fry it. I always try to minimize the amount of oil in recipes, but if you want the right texture, it's hard to escape it. I'm pretty health conscious, so I only use 2 tablespoons of neutral oil for the 2 cups of cooked rice I'm frying up. If you're limiting your oil use like me, you're gonna have to keep mixing this rice to get each grain properly coated with oil and properly exposed to heat. You're gonna wanna fry this rice until it's got some color and has developed a nice crispy shell. And then we put in the magic ingredient. Butter. Oh yeah, the least healthy ingredient. I'm holding back a lot here, so I'm just using half a tablespoon. But if there's one thing that'll push your fried rice over the top, it's the appropriate addition of butter. Even if you don't use as much butter as me, don't skip this step. It makes a massive difference. Now, we combine all the ingredients. And once everything's mixed together, we turn the heat off and add our soy sauce. I used about 2 tablespoons of Sanjay Tamari here, but if you're less fancy than me, you can also use those extra packets of soy sauce in that mystery drawer in your kitchen. Those will work too. And that's it. We're done. If you've made it this far, now you know how to cook some pretty good fried rice. Now go make your own, and let me know in the comments how it goes.